Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Bray's Voice podcast. Notre Dame drops one in Tallahassee. Mike Brey still without a win against Florida State in Tallahassee in his career, and Notre Dame falls to 21-9 and 14-6 in the league. Tough one for Notre Dame against a shorthanded FSU team that they probably should have beat. Didn't play all that well tonight. Couldn't get the stop when they needed to. Couldn't grab the rebound when they needed to, and just didn't hit enough threes and missed too many opportunities at the rim to win this one. Tough one for Notre Dame, and certainly didn't play well, but you got to give credit where it's due to Leonard Hamilton. He's built his programs for games like this. You got interchangeable size all over the roster, athletes all over the floor. They're going to pressure you all game. They're going to try to overwhelm you. It doesn't matter who's playing. Leonard Hamilton's going to have an answer for a team like Notre Dame, who, if frankly at times has lacked size, and showed that tonight against a team that's 7 feet, has two 7-footers on the floor at times. Everybody's going to lack size, and Florida State's still a really tough matchup, even without Caleb Mills and without a bunch of other guys. But Florida State's tough. We knew that, but frankly, Notre Dame should have won this game. Quad 2 loss for Notre Dame. Should have put them at 4-2 in Quad 2. But Notre Dame hasn't seen a team like that all year in terms of length and athleticism outside of Duke. Florida State really made it tough on them, and Notre Dame definitely had the talent advantage, but became over-reliant on Blake Wesley too much. Notre Dame's veterans couldn't really get anything going in that second half, and that's what ultimately killed them. And tough loss for Notre Dame, but in terms of bracketology, doesn't kill them. Saturday would kill them. Saturday's a Quad 4, most likely, unless Pitt moves up by then or unless they moved up and I didn't see. But a loss doesn't kill them tonight. It's a Quad 2. It's on the road. There's a reason Mike Brey lost or has never won in Tallahassee. There's a reason that Florida State beat Virginia on Saturday on that buzzer beater. This is not a horrible Florida State team. I've seen this compared to the BC loss early in the year. This is not the BC loss, the Quad 2. That was a low-tier Quad 3, and that was a game they should have won easily. This is a game you knew would be tough going in, and they just couldn't finish the deal. Became super over-reliant on Blake Wesley at times. Blake was really good tonight, but he's going to need some help. At some point, Notre Dame's guys didn't hit shots at a high enough level, including Blake. They shot 26% from 3, 5 of 19 from beyond the arc. Nayloszewski was the only one who shot above 50% out of them. Trey Wertz did shoot 50%, I guess, but Paul Atkinson obviously didn't hit a 3. Blake was 0 for 3 from out there. Cormac Ryan was 0 for 2 from 3. Dane was 0 for 2. Hubb was 1 of 6. Nate was 3 or 4. Trey was 1 of 2. So big difference between Florida State's 41% with John Butler hitting 4 threes and the team hitting 12 in total versus Notre Dame, who only hit 5 and shot 26%. That's maybe the biggest difference in this game. And Notre Dame couldn't get the stop when they needed to, and didn't hit enough threes to win this one. They actually held their own on the glass, even with the size disadvantage, but just really had some trouble in the second half, kind of getting into what they wanted to get into offensively. Florida State will do that to you, and they did it tonight. Prentiss Hubb, I thought, did a nice job handling pressure and getting into the lane early, pushing the pace, but didn't shoot it well and missed a big free throw late that would have helped him out a lot. But, man, this was not Hubb's best outing, and kind of reverted back to his old self at times by jacking up threes early in the shot clock when Notre Dame was away from a run. Paul Atkinson's been their safety blanket all year, but to me, he kind of looked flustered by the length a little bit, and who wouldn't be? You got a 7'6", or a guy with a 7'6" wingspan on you. It's going to be tough, and this tonight is the reason why I've been a proponent of recruiting based on just straight build rather than skill level. Notre Dame's recruited a lot of guys like Paul Atkinson, Dom Campbell, Martin Gebbin, Matt Zona, guys, Elijah Taylor, guys like that. And those guys are all good players. Those guys are all going to have production. Paul Atkinson's certainly an example of that. But if Notre Dame wants to beat a team like Florida State consistently, you're going to have to match their bodies down low, and they haven't been able to do that for years. And maybe they recruit John Bull in 2024, but right now they don't really have bodies like that. Van Lubin's a guy who can probably handle his own against a guy like John Butler, but then there's still another 7-footer on the floor. And Notre Dame's going to have to find ways to negate that a little bit. I think the solution to that is recruiting just based off straight builds. Recruit linebackers or recruit guys like Florida State has, who are maybe not polished players, but guys who can really contest shots, guys who can move, and guys who just wreak havoc down low like Florida State's bigs did. Notre Dame, I think, would be better suited recruiting that way once in a while rather than recruiting all guys who have polished skill. That's besides the point, though. Paul Atkinson had 17 points tonight. I thought he was actually solid, just finding ways to get his own. 17 and 10 for him against this kind of size. I would take that if you told me that pregame. Shot 7 for 13. Definitely looked flustered by the length a little bit, but really wasn't all that horrible. 10 rebounds, 6 offensive rebounds, and 17 points from Paul Atkinson you're going to take. But him and Blake Wesley were about the only guys who had big scoring nights today. Dane Goodwin would be one of the ones who didn't. 3 for 10, 0 for 2 from 3, and it's really hard to win when you have a performance like this from Dane Goodwin. Shout out to my guy JJ Post. I think he's a student writer for Notre Dame. Talked about a little bit how this team has gone when Dane's gone. Wake Forest, they struggled. Dane was really bad the first BC game, and Dane was not great against Duke either. And Notre Dame had 3 of their worst offensive performances of the year in those games. Well, I guess Wake was a really good one. They scored 70 tonight, but they didn't win those games, and Dane Goodwin not really stepping up was a big part of that. And he's really struggled with length and athleticism lately. He's always kind of struggled with that throughout his career. He's done okay with that overall this year, but man, against a team like this, Dane Goodwin really couldn't get it going. And I think that's the one criticism of him this year is he's really struggled against long athletes on the perimeter who are going to get up and contest his shots and going to make things hard on him. And he hasn't really been able to overcome those kind of guys. I think if Notre Dame sees that in the tournament, they're going to have to be relying on Blake Wesley like they were tonight, who really he was a superhero tonight. This was one of his better games, I thought. Had a lot of really veteran drives. There was one that stuck out on John Butler where he put it on the floor, saw the help side defender, spun away from him, and then had a composed finish over John Butler, didn't rush it, and I think he's gotten a little bit better at being under control when he gets to the rim rather than being out of control and risking charges and risking just missed layups. I think he missed a layup tonight, but overall, really solid performance from Blake, not to mention that unbelievable dunk, which to me isn't even his best of the year, and that's really saying something. That would probably be the thumbnail of this, but finished over some 7-footers and showed off some athleticism and some real hang time, shouldered the load. I mean, that's what NBA scouts want to see. He looked like an NBA player tonight, and he looked like a guy who Notre Dame is really relying on. And it's good for his NBA stock that they're relying on him, but generally you don't want to be relying on a guy who, albeit as late in his freshman year, he is in his freshman year, and it's going to be tough to consistently rely on him and win games. But Blake did everything he could tonight. He played good defense, shouldered the load offensively. One critique, I guess, would be a few too many turnovers and didn't hit a 3, but keep in mind, is his first game against FSU. I don't know of many freshmen who would go into FSU and play the way he did and be composed like he was and everything like that. But he told me in the summer that this was the place he wanted to play, and man, this was the place he was most looking forward to play. And man, he played like that tonight. This was one of his better games in Notre Dame. I would like to look back at some point and look at kind of the rankings of his games in my mind, but this has got to be top 5, even though they lost. Heck of an outing for Blake Wesley, and no other guards really shouldered the load like Blake Wesley did. You got 10 from Hubb, 6 from Dane, 4 from Cormac, who I actually didn't think was all that horrible tonight. Got into the lane a little bit, made some plays for other guys, kept the ball moving. Got a steal, play good defense at the end of the game, but just didn't hit shots, and you're going to need Cormac Ryan to hit shots. I still think he's trending the right way as we head into March, but not a good outing for him, not a good outing for Dane Goodwin. And Trey Wertz had 3 points too. That came from the logo. That was a heck of a shot that he made, but Trey just kind of looked outmatched tonight. He didn't look all that great, but I do think Trey is also trending the right way. Generally, I think this team is. They won. All right, let's not act like they didn't win by 35 points on Saturday or whatever they won by, 90-56. Just because they lose on the road to Florida State doesn't mean this whole thing is a disaster, and I think we need to stop making generalities about this team. They've played 30 games. They've won 21 of them. They lost the quad 2 game on the road to a team that they've never won against on the road. So I don't know why people thought this was going to be a blowout. Florida State was not a blowout-worthy team, even with the injuries. This is a really solid team, and I don't know about really solid, but they're a team that is going to challenge you. They might not be better than their record per se, but they're certainly a more challenging opponent than their record says. And, man, Florida State really challenged Notre Dame tonight, especially their guards, not named Blake Wesley. And I thought the one thing Notre Dame could have done did to get Blake Wesley a little more involved was just switching on their bigs and making them guard him in the open floor, because Florida State was willing to do that. But Notre Dame couldn't really get those switches, and as a result, didn't win this game. Well, not a direct result, but I think that really would have helped them. Blake took 21 shots tonight. That's got to be his high on the year. But overall, Blake Wesley, good. The rest of Notre Dame's guards, not so good, if you want a simple summary. Going to the last guy who I haven't talked about, Nayloszewski. I feel like he's been really steady lately. Shot 75% from 3 today. And I really thought he should have been on John Butler more. I feel like he could have got out and contested a little bit more than he did. John Butler was awesome today, 16 points, 8 rebounds. But I think Nate's the kind of guy who can slow a guy down like that. He can move his feet a little bit. He's 6'10". He can get his hands up. And I feel like he should have been on Butler more. Having Cormac Ryan on John Butler is a borderline crime. Like, I know they wanted to go small, but oh my goodness, John Butler is 7'1" and Cormac Ryan 6'5". Like, that matchup should never happen. Dane Goodwin on John Butler should never happen. It should have been exclusively Laz and Atkinson on, well, maybe not Atkinson. Atkinson has got exposed by some bigs like that this year on the perimeter, but man, I think Nate should have been on him all night, and I think that would have made a significant difference if that had happened. John Butler's just eating some of those guards alive when they try to go small and put them on him. But I think we've seen that a little bit. Notre Dame's really had to play 2 bigs a lot of the time over the course of the year. They haven't been able to go small like they've wanted to at times. But, man, overall, not a great outing for Notre Dame. One that's not going to kill them. I don't know why that would be a thing. I feel like people say that about every loss Notre Dame has, is that, oh, this is the one that's going to kill them. If they somehow don't make the tournament, we're not going to be looking at this game as the reason they didn't make the tournament. It's going to be because they lost to Pitt or because they got bounced in the first round of the ACC tournament. Even if they get bounced first round and beat Pitt, I think they're in. But, I don't really get the negativity with that. Call me a homer or whatever. I don't get every loss is season's over, whatever. But overall, not a horrific outing for Notre Dame, also not a great one, not a good one. But they're going to be back on Saturday for Senior Day against Pitt. That's when they got to win, and I'd like to see them win that game handily against the Pitt team, who really pushed them to the wire in the last game, made Prentiss Hubb beat them at the buzzer. But this is March. Thank you guys for watching. Notre Dame's unfortunately 0-1 in March. Let's hope they end with a winning record, and that starts on Saturday with Pitt. So thank you guys for watching. Go Irish, and I'll be back on Saturday for the Pitt one, and then things will start to ramp up. ACC tournament talk pretty much all next week, and after that, talking on Selection Sunday, talking for March Madness, and I'll be back soon. Peace.